So guys, after our 10-day trip on the Adriatic Ocean on the cruise ship the Silver Spirit, we were disembarked in Fusina in Venice, and then we were taken by bus to Venice Island, where we were given our bags and discharged at the maritime terminal in Venice. And since our flight out of Venice to KL was 8 hours away, we decided to spend some time wandering around Venice. From the maritime terminal, we walked to the People Mover Maritime Station, just 200 meters away. The People Mover in Venice is a 3-stop rail system. The 3 stops are Trochetto Parking Island, where thousands of Indo buses can drop passengers off for Venice, the Maritime Terminal, the Cruise Terminal Port, and finally Piazzale Roma, the main transportation hub for Venice, where all trains, buses, cars and water transport are located. And this is the People Mover train we took from the Maritime Terminal to Piazzale Roma. It costs €150 per trip and takes about 5 minutes to reach its destination. So guys, when you arrive in Venice, don't worry. We took a cruise ship, we arrived at the Maritime Terminal. We took a short train ride. We took about 5 minutes to reach Piazzale Roma. And here we left our bags at the left luggage for €5 each bag, and this airport buses over here, it costs €10 per person, and it leaves every 20 minutes, and it takes 20 minutes to reach the airport. So now our plan is we bought a daily pass ticket and we're going to wander around Venice for a few hours. Cheers! So you can buy your tickets for the transport, water transport, at any ticketing booth as shown here. It's quite easy to use. You can choose the option English to make it easy for us. You can click on here to buy a ticket. You can either buy a all-day ticket or a single trip ticket. Okay, and a single trip ticket it can last for 75 minutes, costs €750 per ticket, while an all-day pass costs €21. You can use the whole day to travel unlimited rides on the water transport. After selecting, just use your credit card to pay for it. Cheers! Having bought our tickets at Piazzale Roma, just have to follow the signs here. Route 2 to San Marco, arriving in 9 minutes at water stop F. So now we just head to water stop F, scan our tickets, the barrier opens, and we head into the Vaporetto to head towards San Marco. So in actual fact, the Vaporettos or water taxis are a cheaper way of enjoying the sights of the canals of Venice instead of paying a hefty price for a ride on a gondola, which can cost €80 to €100 for a 45-minute trip. We decided to hop off the Vaporetto to explore the Rialto Bridge since it was a famous tourist attraction. In actual fact, Venice is a city on 120 islands, crisscrossed by 177 canals and connected by 391 bridges. The Rialto Bridge is one of the oldest of 4 bridges spanning the Grand Canal in Venice. It connects the districts of San Marco to San Polo. The Rialto Bridge has been rebuilt several times since its first construction in the year 1173 and is now a famous tourist spot. This present stone bridge was constructed in the 16th century. Now this is an interesting fun fact. In the year 2019, 5.5 million tourists visited Venice, 100 times its population of 55,000. At the top of the bridge, you can get a nice view of the Grand Canal with shops on both sides of the embankment. The 2 ramps of the bridge lead up to a central portico as seen here, and there are rows of shops here which are very popular with tourists. Interestingly, in the summer season, tourists can outnumber locals in Venice at a ratio of 2 to 1. We then took a slow walk, meandering around the alleyways from the Rialto Bridge to head towards St. Mark's Square. This was an interesting shop we passed by, a shop selling cannoli. That's what Don Altabella was eating when he poisoned him in The Godfather. Cannoli. If you watch the movie The Godfather Part 3, Don Altobello was poisoned with a cannoli by Michael Corleone's henchman. Don Altobello was played by Eli Wallach. He also acted in The Magnificent Seven and also in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. You really cannot get lost in Venice. As he wandered around, he finally ended up in St. Mark's Square. For 1000 years, Piazza St. Mark's or St. Mark's Square was the center of the Venetian Republic's political and religious life. It is here at St. Mark's Square you can find St. Mark's Basilica, Pallazzo Ducale and other interesting sites. St. Mark's Basilica was built in the 9th century and was made to house the body of St. Mark the Apostle, which was brought in from Alexandria. Interestingly, there is about 8,000 square meters of mosaic at St. Mark's Basilica. Enough mosaic to cover 1.5 American football fields. You can see a long line of tourists lining up to enter the magnificent Basilica for a visit, although entrance is free. On the facade of the loggia, there are 4 bronze horses, which are replicas. The originals are now kept inside the Basilica. All these treasures were actually shipped from Constantinople after the Crusades ended in the year 1204 with the conquest of Constantinople. St. Mark's Clock Tower is an early Renaissance building built in the last decade of the 15th century. At the top of the tower are 2 bronze figures hitting a bell. Below that is the winged statue of St. Mark holding an open book, and below that is a statue of the Virgin and Child. These 2 bronze figures hang at the waist which strike the hours on a bell. One is old, the other young, to show the passing of time, and is said to represent shepherds, and they are known as the Moors because of the dark patina acquired by the bronze. Below this herald is the winged lion of St. Mark with the open book before a blue background with gold stars, and just below that again is a semicircular gallery with statues of the Virgin and Child seated in gilt beaten copper. Of course, every church in Italy will have its own bell tower or campanile. This 323-foot bell tower or campanile of St. Mark's dates back to the 9th century, but it had to be rebuilt in the year 1903 after it collapsed in the year 1902. The next place of interest was Palazzo Ducale or the Doge's Palace, and what a coincidence, they were exhibiting the works of this famous painter Anselm Kiefer, no relation of mine of course. The Doges were the rulers of the Venetian Republic in those days, and they used to stay in this palace, Pallazzo Ducale or the Doge's Palace. Well, since we had time to spare, I decided to queue up for half an hour to enter and visit the Doge's Palace or Pallazzo Ducale. And this is a view of the inner courtyard of the Pallazzo Ducale. It was really an interesting walk through the many rooms of the Doge's Palace, filled with frescoes, paintings, all preserved from previous centuries. The famous German artist Anselm Kiefer, no relation to another great man, Anselm Rau, was being exhibited here. His paintings were being exhibited here at the Pallazzo Ducale. This was part of the celebrations to commemorate the 1600th anniversary of the foundation of the Venetian Republic. His paintings are displayed at the Sala dello Scrutinio, or in other words in English, the voting chamber of the Pallazzo Ducale. The Bridge of Sighs. This corridor leads over the Bridge of Sighs. It was built in 1614 to link the Doge's Palace to the structure intended to house the new prisons. Enclosed and covered on both sides, the bridge contains 2 separate corridors that run next to each other. The famous name of the bridge dates from the Romantic period and was supposed to refer to sighs of prisoners who, passing from the courtroom to the cell in which they would serve their sentence, took a last look at freedom as they glimpsed the lagoon and San Giorgio through the small windows. This is a view of the Bridge of Sighs from the outside. You see a lot of tourists taking photos on this bridge. Ricardo. Okay, Ricardo is taking us for a trip Thank you. Change. So what is a trip to Venice without a gondola ride? So Shanthi and I took this 45-minute ride in a gondola which costs 80 euros. Rialto Market. Fish market.
The vegetables and fish market.
This is a popular market for fish, vegetables and fruits with the locals and even tourists.
The Casino Royale.
Oh, the movie, yeah? The James Bond movie.
Casino Royale.
Here.
Yes, they're styling. They're styling part.
Oh, inside, Oh, alright, man. So, நல்ல We were now heading towards the Cannaregio district on the gondola. The San Apostolic Church is a 7th century Roman Catholic church and it's one of the oldest churches in the city.
24 hours.
An interesting feature about the church is its 24-hour clock face. Now listen to the gondolier as he comes to a cross canal. So he shouts Tagando Oi, which means I am turning right. This is to warn other gondoliers coming from the other side to keep away and prevent collisions. I think he's shouting in case there was another boat coming.
This building on the left side the Miracoli Church.
Oh,
This church is totally marble. The
marble.
is usual marbles for the San Marco Church.
Oh. This church was built in the 15th century to house a miraculous icon of the Virgin Mary.
This building, the right side, is the original building, the Marco Polo.
But you stay here?
It's about 1,000 years.
Oh, Marco Polo stayed here.
Yes, inside stays
This place, the Pallazzo Amadi, was owned by Marco Polo's family in the 13th and 14th centuries. So now hotel, bread and breakfast. It is now run as a bread and breakfast hotel. This white building, Palazzo dei Camerlinghi, on the right of the Rialto Bridge, was built in the 15th century and it used to be, among other things, a prison. Oh, prison. So after an interesting 45-minute ride on the gondola, Riccardo, our gondolier, brought us safely back to terra firma. Yeah. Well guys, if you ask me, I think it was worth the time and effort going on this gondola ride. We did manage to see a few interesting places which we would have missed if we were just walking on our own. Of course, another must-do thing in Venice is to sit at St. Mark's Square in a cafe listening to music while having a drink, soaking up the nice sunny atmosphere and experience. I had this traditional Italian summer drink, Aperol Spritz. So I'm here at St. Mark's Square having a aperitif Spritz. It's olive there. Very refreshing on a hot summer afternoon. Cheers. So, after our walkabout in Venice, we went and collected our bags at the left luggage office and then took the €10 bus ride from Piazzale Roma to catch our flight at the airport. So we're going to collect our bags now. So you don't need to pay for an expensive water taxi ride to the airport. These buses leave every 20 minutes and it only costs €10 per person. You can take it just at Piazzale Roma. So that was our short walkabout in Venice. Till the next time from Life at 50. Cheers.